Well, praise the Lord. We are live. Thank you so much for joining us for Bible study today. Awesome. All right, guys, let's get started. Trusting God when you can't trace God. Trusting God when you can't trust God. My wife and I, we've been married for 18 years now. At our 10th, when we got married, I think it was at 10 years. No, it was in 2013. I'm not sure. I think it was 10 or 15 year. 15 year. At our 15th year wedding anniversary, my wife and I, we rededicated our vows. And we did it in Miami, Florida, on the beach, overlooking the sunset. It was beautiful. I always tell this story. I said that we were 90 miles from Cuba. We were actually not 90 miles from Cuba because, you have to be in Key West in order to be 90 miles from Cuba. But we were in Miami, Florida, and we renewed our vows. Well, on this particular weekend, my pastor, Apostle Calvin Washington, he was the one that officiated our ceremony right there on the beach. It was so beautiful, guys. It was magical. But one of the things that we decided to do while we were there was we wanted to go deep sea fishing. I had never in my life been deep sea fishing. I had heard so many stories about it. And so my wife and I, we decided, hey, me, my wife, Apostle Washington, his wife, we said, hey, let's go deep sea fishing. So I don't know if you've ever been deep sea fishing, but I think everybody should at least try something once. I've tried it once. I don't have to do it ever again, ever again. I don't ever have to do that. But it was a wonderful experience. Let me talk to you about that experience because that's going to go in line with what we're talking about today. You have to trust God when you can't trace God. You have to trust God when you can't trace God. So we get on the boat, and it's a very small boat. It was not like a cruise ship, nothing like that at all. I mean, it was a really, really small boat. And I never forget, right before I got on the boat, there was a sign, and the sign said that the wake is about 4. I didn't know what that meant. And I was like, well, what does that mean about the wake is about 4? They said, well, the wake is really the turbulence of the sea. And I said, well, how does it go? And they said, well, I can go up to 10 and, it can go up really high. But they said 4 is pretty good. 4 is pretty good. You won't have to worry about anything. I said, okay, well, let's go. So we got on the boat. And so we're going up the Intercoastal Highway. I mean, it's beautiful. You're looking at all these beautiful houses, and then you're going up the highways. And so, I'm sitting there with my wife. We're all romantic. We're lovey-dovey. We're kissing each other. We're enjoying the trip. We're taking it all in. And we're looking at these different houses. That used to be the house of Nick Saban when he was coaching here, the Miami Dolphins. And then they showed us the house of this person, all these wonderful celebrities, $1 million homes. And then you get to this thing what they call the Intercoastal Highway. You have what we were actually going down was like a corridor, and then these gates open and then you go like into the ocean. And they tell you, they say, okay, get ready to sit down. We're about to actually go, and they said the Intercoastal Highway. So my wife and I, we sat down, I'm still trying to be the man, still trying to love on her. And the boat began to pick up speed a little bit more. Now the boat is not just cruising. Now the boat is hopping a little bit like this. And I was like, okay, it's not that bad, And my wife, she doesn't like the ocean water like that at all. So we're still riding, and we're about 10 minutes into the ride. And then all of a sudden we hit a part of the ocean. They tell us to sit down. They said, make sure you have on something tight. He said, because we're about to now go into the ocean. I guess the ocean have segways. So I wasn't paying attention, but all of a sudden we were sitting down and the guy on the boat floors it. I mean, he punches it all the way down. And we move from going to now the boat is hopping like this. Oh my God, it was like the most scariest ride you ever been on. But I'm the man, right? I can't show my wife that I'm afraid. I can't show her that I'm nervous. But I'm sitting there and we're riding, and now we're riding for about 10 or 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. We're still riding. I mean, we're riding, and the whole time I'm focusing on the ride and how it was gyrating and how it was jumping, man. I mean, it was, I'm telling you, man, you think of the worst roller coaster you've ever been on. It doesn't compare to nature. I'm telling you, it doesn't compare, to nature. And so my wife, she's holding on to me tight, and we're holding on to each other. And man, I tell you, she was so scared. I was comforting her the whole time, but the whole time, God knows, I was praying in the spirit. I was doing all kind of binding and loosening. I was doing all kind of stuff just to stay safe. But then he slowed it down, And then now we're in the ocean where you go deep sea fishing. I mean, now, they don't measure the depth of the water by feet anymore. Now they're measuring the depth of the water by miles. You're in the ocean, and I'm standing, we're out there on this little bitty boat in the middle of the ocean. And I began to look around and there was no boundaries. I didn't know where we had came from. I didn't know which direction was north, which direction was south, which direction was east or west. I had no clue which boundary where we were. We were just in the middle of the ocean, and now they began to teach us how to fish. For the first 30 minutes of it, it was okay, but we were out there for 4 hours, and it was the worst 4 hours I have ever experienced on a boat going deep sea fishing. Now, some people may love that. It was the worst 4 hours of my life. I mean, I got sick. I started vomiting. The boat is rocking like this the whole time. People are pulling these huge fish. I'm used to fishing from a bank. I don't want to see a fish this big come out of the water. But it was an experience. But we're sitting there the whole time for 4 hours. You got to imagine you're in the ocean. And there's like 5 miles deep of water, and you're just doing this the whole time. Me and a Caucasian friend of mine, we were on the back of the boat and we were puking. I mean, it was bad. At this particular point, I lost all my man points. My wife held it strong, and she held me together. She held me, and I began to puke over the side of the boat. I got sick, and then we made it back to land. But as we were coming back, I'll never forget, I was sitting there talking to a guy. And I said, man, you got to get me back. But we couldn't go back because people had paid all this money to go deep sea fishing. But I was trying to remember which way was back. I said, now we came from this way. And the guy said, no, we actually came from this way. And we're going to go back. We're going to go back this way. This is north. This is east. He showed me actually where we were. He used the compass to show me where we were. But I had been on the ride for so long. I had experienced so many things that I got so sick that I had lost my boundaries and I didn't know where I was. Life can be that way. You're going after the thing that you want. You're going after the dream. You're going after the goal. And then because of certain things that you experience in it, you can't trace where you are. And this is what separates winners from losers. This is why some people finish the goal and some people don't finish the goal. Because you're in the middle of life and you're thinking that it was supposed to be this way. Because, everybody tells us that success is overnight. And so you can't trace where you are. And then you're in the middle of a situation and you're doing something that you know that on the inside, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I know that God has called me to do this. But then you can't trace God. There's no affirmation that you're doing the right thing. Nobody is patting you on the back and saying, keep going. Nobody is celebrating you. And what's really going on, it's tough. It's hard. But I want to tell you, you have to learn how to trust God when you can't even trace God. There are going to be some times in your life when you're going after the thing that you know that you're supposed to be doing. You're going after your dream. You're building the business. You're building the ministry. You're going back to school. You're trying to do all of these things. And life doesn't play fair. It's throwing everything at you. And it's just unfair. And you can't trace God anywhere. But you have to learn how to trust God when you can't trace God. 3 things that you're going to experience that throws off your disruption, that makes you not be able to trace Him anymore. And 3 things happen to you. Number 1, what happened to me was the turbulence. We was riding like this, and we jumping waves. It's going up and down. The boat is turning up. I mean, it was like the worst roller coaster ride I ever been on. So here we are in the middle of the ocean, and now the boat is rocking. The ride to get there was so hard. It was so turbulent. That was one of the things that caused me to lose my direction. The second thing that caused me to lose my direction was I thought, because, I've been to the beach before, I thought we was just going to go from here to the ocean. On the beach, it looks like the ocean is right there. But sometimes the duration on how to get to where you're trying to go. The duration, the time, the length of the ride, the length of the journey, the time that it takes to get there. And I began to pay attention more to the time that it took me to get there, and that caused me to lose my sense of direction. It caused me to lose my trace in God. Number three, the third thing is lack of focus. You know, the one that was driving the boat, he never lost focus. He paid attention to where he was going. He paid attention to the gauges. He paid attention to the instruments that was guiding him to where he was supposed to go. And that's why he safely took us there. He safely brought us back. But here I am, a passenger just going, and I didn't pay attention to any of that. I was paying more attention to the turbulence. I've lost focus on everything. I lost focus on the shoreline. I didn't know where I was because I lost focus. And so when you're going after your dream, those three things are going to happen. Sometimes the ride is so turbulent. You know, people walk out on you. You have to deal with rejection. Folks lie on you. You know, it's all kinds of turbulence. People that said they was going to be there for you, and now you step out on them. You can't depend on them anymore. It's turbulent. It's turbulent. Nobody's patting you on the back. Nobody's saying amen. Nobody's saying I believe in you. And you have nothing to hold on to. But you still have to trust God even when you can't trace God. The duration, sometimes it takes long. You know, this lie that overnight success, I don't really know much about overnight success. Everything that God has given me is taking time to manifest, and then lack of focus. But there's 4 things you have to do, and we'll end with this. 4 things you have to do and how you should trust, how to trust God when you can't trace God. Number 1, you have to understand and buckle up. You have to have the understanding. You have to buckle up. Number 1, you have to have a full understanding of everything that God has called you to do. Everybody ain't going to agree with you. You got to understand that. You got to understand that. You got to just know that what God has called me to do, people ain't, you know. And you have to understand, people are flaky. You have to just kind of understand that and take it for what it is. It just is. But just because they don't believe, it doesn't mean God didn't call you. Just because they don't see it, it doesn't mean God didn't call you. So your focus should never be on people. That's the understanding. Your focus should never be in trusting in people. You should only trust in the assignment that God has given you. And like I said, understand and buckle up. You know, when you get ready to go, that's the first thing he told us. When we left the shore, he said, sit down, buckle up, because he knew that it was about to get turbulent. When you're about to do something and step in your purpose and step in your dream, buckle up. Buckle your mental and psychological seatbelt. Go ahead and anchor it down in the assignment that God has called you. You cannot be moved by the storms and the wind. Anchor it down and buckle up your mind. Buckle it up and just anchor it down. And this is, I know what God has called me to do. And get ready for the turbulence. Number 2, you have to enjoy the ride. You know, I start watching the waves and all the stuff like that. I start watching all this crazy stuff, and I didn't enjoy the ride. My focus now left from what God, me enjoying my wife and loving on my wife and hugging on my wife, to now I start paying attention to the problems. And that's what happened. If you're building something, if you're building a dream, enjoy the ride. Enjoy the journey of building it. Enjoy it. I mean, have fun, celebrate. We celebrate everything at George Johnson Ministries. We'll tell you. We celebrate everything. You got to learn how to enjoy it. Celebrate. Have a good time, man. Party. Enjoy it, because I'm telling you something. Throw your own self a party. Don't be looking for everybody to throw your party. Throw your own self a party. Enjoy the ride. Number 3, trust the compass. I was talking to the pilot. What do you call the guy that drives the ship? The captain of the ship. And so I'm on the back of the boat. I'm puking. I'm throwing up. And I'm telling him, no, we came from this way. And he said, no, it's actually this way. You know why he knew it was that way? It's because he trusted the compass. Here's the thing. You're in the middle of trying to build something great. Doors didn't open like you thought they were going to open. Things didn't happen like you thought they were going to happen. The assignment didn't happen like you thought they were going to happen. Let me tell you something. That does not change the original instruction. What was the instruction? And when life throws its best punch at you and it becomes hard and difficult and challenging, go back to the original instruction. That's what has kept me and my wife grounded and rooted. You know, so many people have tried to tell her, you need to do this, you need to do that. And everything is a good idea, but everything is not a God idea. You have to make sure that you go back to the original compass Go back to the original direction that God has given you. And then here's number 4, and here's the bigger one. I don't know where you are. We have all kind of people that tune into this broadcast. Some are Christian, some are not, some are Muslim, some. Well, I have everybody that follow our ministry because, God has given me favor with a lot of different people. But I'm telling you, this one thing you're going to have to get. You have to put your trust in something greater than you. What God has called you to do is challenging. It's hard. It's hard. And here's the thing I try to tell people, only you can do it. The richest place in the world is not the diamond mines in West Africa. The richest place is not the world, it's not the oil fields in the Middle East. The richest place in the world is the cemetery, because there you'll find dreams that were never fulfilled, books never written, plays never written, ideas never acted upon, visions never fulfilled, because they died waiting on, they died in turbulence, they died in the duration, they died in the middle of it. And they never put their life, they never took what they were believing something and put it in something greater than them. Put it in something greater than you. You have to come to a place that says, you know what, hey, this is too much for me to carry. God, you're going to have to help me. You said you'll supply all my needs according to your riches and glory, and I believe that. I trust that. So I'm looking for the provision. You have to put it in something greater than you. Put it in something greater than you. And we were at a place, here we are in the middle of the ocean. It's turbulent, it's tough. The waves are going up and down. I'm puking, I'm sick. My wife, she's sitting there, she's about to pass out. It was just a miserable experience. But in order for us to get back to the shore, we had to put our trust in the captain of the ship. I couldn't drive it. I couldn't. I didn't even know where we were. But I had to put my trust in the captain of the ship. Put your dream, put your goal, put your vision. Do not allow this. Here's a very disturbing statistic. My brother, he's writing a play. I know he's going to get upset when I say this, but he's doing a play in May of this year here in Atlanta, Georgia. And one of the things that inspired this play is because African-American men are now leading in suicide. You got black men taking their life. They're killing themselves. You know why? Because the burden of life is too much for them to carry. They can't carry it anymore. And so now they're taking guns and blowing their brains out the back of their head. They're ODing on drugs. They're walking away from their family because they haven't taken it and put it in something greater than them. Get that stuff off of you, man. Get it off of you. Get that burden off you and walk in the kingdom. Well, praise the Lord. We are. Thank you so much for joining us for Bible study today. Awesome.